Hi everyone. I'm going to just move my computer back a little bit. There we go. Okay. Hello, I hope you're all going well. I'm super excited to be with you guys today. I have a really awesome training plan for you. We're going to be talking about storytelling and content creation and messaging and how to have your story and your journey, how to know how to use your story to actually become magnetic to your highest level soulmate clients. So that's what we're talking about today. Hello, someone here with me live. Pop into the comments and say hi so I know who you are. I'm also going to just pull this up on my phone because I've been having some issues with the not being able to see the comments. And I think Facebook's been doing something super weird today. Anyway, so I'm going to pull this up on my phone. Bear with me one sec so I can see your comments. I'm not going to miss them. There I are. Hi, Karen. Nice to see you. Awesome. Okay, cool. So, storytelling. I have some notes here. What I want to invite you guys to do, this is going to be quite a meat and potatoes style training, meaning we're going to really sink our teeth into this today. And I wanted to do this because first, it was lovely meeting you, Karen, on Sunday. It was so nice. Awesome. I wanted to create this training for you. This is essentially the training that all of my authors get. This is the first training that they get. This is super, super powerful, right? So what we're going to be talking about today, I want you to grab a pen and a piece of paper, and I want you to remember that everything that we're talking about is going to be directly applicable for your messaging and your content creation, okay? So when I give this training for my authors, we always have in mind that this is the long-term goal for them is the chapter that they're writing either in the multi-author book that they're participating in or whether they're in a solo book program with me. That's always the bigger long-term picture that we have, that we keep in mind, the intention that we keep in mind. What I want you to keep in mind with this training is that all of this is going to be directly applicable for your content creation, for your messaging, and most importantly, for really sinking into your magnetic story, right? So, I have lots of people that I work with who say, I'm a kinesiologist or I'm a this, I'm a that, I'm a tapping practitioner. There's so many other people out there that do really similar work to me. How do I differentiate? And the first thing that I say to those people will always be, it's you. You are the thing that differentiates from everyone else, right? So yes, there's 1,000 kinesiologists out there, but there's only one person like you. There's only one person that is wired like you, that thinks like you, that has lived your experiences, that has your unique approach to life and the unique experiences, the unique things that you understand about life. So are you sharing more of you through your marketing? At which point most of them usually go, no, I'm probably relying more on my knowledge or on the modality that I offer or the know-how, the technicalities that I can share or my client experiences rather than actually pulling back the curtain and revealing more of me. So this is something that's really, really powerful. It's really important. I believe, at this point in the online space, we are becoming quite, what's the word? Buyers are becoming really, like they're becoming savvy, yeah? And if you're not connecting with your audience and with your community at the heart level, and if you're not really like forming powerful bonds and powerful connections with them, then it's very easy for you to be lumped into the basket of, just like everyone else. Like it's just everyone's pitching, everyone's trying to get something from me, right? So, oh, Mum's calling. I'll have to call you back. There we go. I have a new computer and my phone calls come up on my computer. It's kind of trippy. So your story and your journey and your lived experiences are the way that you really start to form those connections with your people. So what we're going to be talking about today is how to actually tap into the power of your story and how to ensure that when you are creating storytelling posts and content pieces, that you're not just sharing a story, but you're sharing a story and you're having that story lead to clients, right? Lead to people reaching out, expressing interest, wanting to work with you, handing over their credit card or their debit card and actually investing with you. At the end of the day, it's great to be able to share a story online and to be able to, spark inspiration within others. But if you're running a business, this is a really important piece, obviously, right? Your ability to connect with your audience and to have that connection actually lead to more clients. So that's what we're talking about today. I will pull up my notes. I see we have 3 people. Please say hi so I know who you are. And let's get going. Oh, where'd you go? There you are. Alrighty, cool. Okay, cool. So what we're going to be really doing is we're going to be looking at storytelling. We're going to be looking at some strategy. We're going to be talking about how to write intuitively and strategically at the same time. And at the end of the day, this is all about really becoming more magnetic, right? Stepping into your uniqueness, becoming more authentic will always lead to you being much, much, much more magnetic to other people. Typically, like from a strategic perspective, if you're really clear on the soulmate client that you're working with, or the highest level client, I call this your highest level client that you love to work with, not just anyone that you're working with. This is the people that you love to work with and the people that you adore working with, that love working with you, that they're like your A grade clients, so to speak. Typically, that person is going to be a few steps behind you on a very similar journey. Okay, so when we can really connect with our journey and connect with the stories that we have to share and do it in a way that's intuitive and strategic at the same time, then we are straight off the bat, we are going to be really, starting that process of having our content creation lead to actual clients. Hi, Megan, welcome. So first of all, I just want to ask you, are you actually writing content? Are you actually creating content, whether or not that is written or video? I love to do a combination of both. Are you doing it? Let me know in the comments if you are actually creating content, because straight off the bat, this is super important, obviously, right? We want to be showing up online. We want to be, really building our presence, getting out there, having our face be seen. This is really important so that when people see your face, they bond with you and they associate your face with the transformation that you facilitate and the work that you facilitate. So straight off the bat, I just want to say this is super important. And I know personally, I kind of go like this with my content creation. Sometimes I'm doing really well and other times I'm focusing on other things. For me, it's always the balance of, wanting to be, wanting to do it consistently. Consistency is really important. I know when for example, if I'm in client delivery mode, say I've wrapped up a launch and I'm focusing on my clients and I'm focusing on the program and the transformation that I'm facilitating, I have to be really conscious at the same time to not just fall off the face of the earth on social media as well. Really want to maintain that consistency with how I'm showing up, and that's really important for you guys as well. So your story, right? Your story is your gold. It is your gold mine. It cannot be underestimated. And especially when we're really able to use our story and stand in what makes us different, stand in what makes us unique, in what makes us stand out from the crowd. If you're not articulating this, if you're not articulating your personal unique experience and your actual journey that you've gone on to get to where you are right now, then you're missing out on a big part of your business profit. Why? Because like I said before, this is the stuff, this is the juice, this is the incredible magnetic content of your past that people are typically most attracted to, right? Especially if you work with women. So when we're working with women in particular who are much more emotive buyers, right? We want to feel connection. We want to really be able to see ourselves in people. Like we form an emotional association with something typically before we actually buy it. If you think about it from that perspective, then your story and storytelling becomes really important, right? So it's wired into our DNA. This is another really important piece of storytelling. Why do you think Hollywood is so big, right? Why do you think that books have stood the test of time? Why do you think that, we love nothing more than putting on a good movie and sitting back and immersing ourselves in someone else's life? It's because storytelling is wired into our DNA. Like way before we had technology, way before we had books, Way before all of that, it was all story, right? We would sit around a fire, a campfire, and share story and teach through story, share morals through story. So this activates a very particular part of the brain, right? That's super connected with our emotive capacity. So there's actually a lot of science on storytelling and marketing and how powerful it is and for the reasons why it's so powerful, yeah? The reasons why being that it helps people to shift from that real logical, neural perspective to their heart space, right? It cracks people's hearts right open. People loved being moved by story. They love, seeing themselves in other people and, really like cheering on the good guy or cheering on the little guy and watching the little guy rise up and take down the dragon or whatever it is that we're watching. It's like a self-soothing perspective in a way. So when you're sharing story, and particularly when you're really sinking into a storytelling capacity, like you're putting on your storytelling hat, like whether it's through Facebook Live or through written format, I want you to understand that it is actually a sacred experience, right? Sacred storytelling. We're really connecting. It's like we're coming into communion with our people around us. We're opening ourselves up. I say this to all of my authors, right? Because it's no mean feat to write a chapter or to write a book and to share that with the world, right? It's a massive, massive undertaking. And there's often a lot of stuff that comes up for my authors, typically just before launch day, right? Or a few weeks out from launch. It's like, holy shit, all that stuff that I've written about, all that stuff I've bared my soul in this chapter. How's it going to be? What's going to happen? What are my parents or my friends or my family friends or my ex-partner or my current partner or my children? What are they going to say when they read this stuff? So, it's so important to remember that it is actually a bearing of our soul when we share story, especially when we share story from a vulnerable place, right? When we really tap into the real gold that's within our story. That's not to be dismissed, right? It's a very powerful way that we can connect with our people. It's also a very powerful initiation that happens from within, right? With all of my authors, I've seen so much powerful initiation energy that happens when they publish their stuff, right? So we're not talking publishing today. We are talking about content creation and messaging, but you can kind of think of it as like a form of publishing, whenever you hit that publish, I think I might even say publish live to Facebook. Whenever you create a post or a live and you hit go live or you hit post, it's like a small act of publishing to the world, right? You're publishing something to the world. You're putting a piece of yourself out there to the world. So recognize that it's very powerful, that there's a sacredness that happens within that. And when we can really come into that space of honoring, I'm going to share something that might be really big for me, that might be a little bit vulnerable, that might be really powerful. I'm going to share something that has the potential to touch, move, and inspire the people who listen or who read. Then we have to recognize the power within that, right? So I want to invite you and encourage you to use this, what I'm going to teach you today, not just from a writing perspective, but also from a verbal communication perspective as well. And, there's something so powerful about being able to go live on Facebook, share a story, talk about why that story is important to your soulmate clients, talk about how that journey that you shared links with the program that you now offer, and have that experience lead to people messaging you and booking in for your offers or booking in for your services. There's something very, very powerful about that, right? Obviously, written form is exactly the same. So, why? Because it activates emotion. People start to feel. You take people on an evocative journey, right? When we're shifting into storytelling mode, it's like if we're listening to someone sharing a story, it's like time and space suddenly starts to slow down. We're much more likely to veer away from any distractions, whether we're listening and also scrolling on social media. We're much more connected with the speaker. We're captivated by them. Really, we're captivated, and that's super, super powerful. So my intention, first of all, is to, one, encourage you to create consistent content. I have my tea here. I'm going to be having a sip. Encourage you to create consistent content. And two, start to think about your journey. Okay, so what is one of the most powerful tools not tools, but practices that you can start to develop is a consistent journaling or writing practice. So I always say to my people, to my authors, that you want to be writing 30 minutes a day at least. You want to be creating a space for your writing to be like you want to luxuriate in your writing, right? You want it to be something that you look forward to, not something that you know you have to tick off the list. You want your writing practice to be something that is it's an opportunity for you to spend time just with yourself and your thoughts and your experiences and your desires and your dreams. And you really like it's a very powerful communion in and of itself. So I always say to my authors, create a writing practice and develop a love for writing. I have a lot of people that I work with who say, I'm not a writer. Why should I write a book? Or I'm not a writer. How can I contribute to this co-authored book? At the end of the day, depending upon whether you have brilliant Hemingway style skills, whether you're a naturally gifted writer or not, it doesn't matter because you're going to have your own unique way, right? So your way might actually be speaking. So some of my authors will actually speak their words into an app like Otter, which is brilliant for dictation. They will speak, they'll go out for a beautiful walk and they will literally speak it out, which it will dictate it all. They'll come back to their computer, they'll upload the PDF into their writings, into their, word processor, and they will weave the chapter that way, right? So don't let any of these mindset blocks, which is exactly what they are, try and keep you small, right? You have a very powerful story to tell. I know you do. I know because everybody does, right? Your experiences that you've had, that you've lived through, the things that you've moved through, your traumas that you've overcome, the journeys that you've gone on, the things that have shaped you and have you become the woman or the man that you are today is very powerful, right? And if you think about it, it's your journey, that all of the little micro decisions that you've made over a lifetime that has had you land right here, right now, doing the work that you do, facilitating the transformation that you facilitate with the kind of people that you work with, right? With your soulmate clients. All of these tiny little micro decisions, there's many of them, millions of them, right? Probably billions of them when we think about it. So there's no way that you can actually really logically say, I don't know what to write about. I don't have anything to say. That's a fucking cop out. Okay. So I've given some of my clients and authors, I've given them the hard line with that. That's an absolute cop out. And that's your saboteur, right? Your inner saboteur trying to keep you small, trying to keep you in the safe zone, not wanting to put you out on the big stage, right? When we actually publish something, whether that's on Facebook or whether that's actually live on Amazon or on any of the big platforms, we are stepping into massive visibility. We're stepping into massive authority, right? We're stepping into an up level that we simply cannot achieve if we haven't gone through the process of writing and distilling our thoughts and our methodologies and, our strong points of view and our journey and created it, published it in a book, right? Of course, Facebook is quite different, but it's still very much, it's a similar energy. We're still putting something out there into the world. When we go through that process, we are going through an inner initiation, right? And so that's why I always say to my people and my clients and authors, I say, see this as an initiation process, right? This is an opportunity for you to reinvent yourself, essentially. This is an opportunity for you to cultivate very powerful courage and confidence that is going to have you show up online, offline, show up personally, professionally in a very different way. So it's super, super powerful. Our words create our reality, right? And this is something that I often say as well, is that especially when it comes to content creation, when it comes to, writing stories and creating content, what we're doing is we're casting spells over our audience, right? Spells of awakening, one of my beautiful mentors likes to say. Spells of awakening. Why do they call it spelling, right? When we're learning how to spell, it's a spell. Your words are spells. Okay, so when you can really sink into the power of your ability to speak your ability to write, your ability to weave your words, your ability to build momentum with your words. It's very much similar. It's very similar energy, I feel, to this of spell casting, right? We're casting spells of awakening upon our people. And when you see it like that, then your content creation can become something that is not like, I have to show up every day. I have to tick that I have to tick that off the list. It's not like this mechanical thing that we have to do in order to seize a result. Your content creation then becomes a way of you to spark transformation, right? For you to spark new codes of awakening within your people and the people who are magnetically attracted towards you. So as long as you're showing up, you're showing your face, you're sharing your words, your thoughts, your insights, your stories, and you're doing it in a strategic way, which is what we're going to talk about, then you really can't go wrong. Okay. So start a writing practice. That's a bit of a going to come back to that point. Start a writing practice, commit to it, commit to 30 minutes a day, more if you can, and really, activate the creative potential within you, right? Activate the channel. I believe at the end of the day that creativity is like we download, we channel it. It comes through our crown chakra. It comes out through our heart. It's something that anyway, we won't go into the actual specifics of the energetics, but it's something that that comes through us. And so part of my job that I see and with the mentoring that I do with my clients, whether it's in multi-author books or whether it's in actually creating their solo book, some of the big work that I do is actually helping them to clear their channel, right? To clear the channel so that they can actually have the words stream through from a space of ease rather than coming at it from a space of head, right? Rather than really like being up here. From my experience, and I'm someone who can live a lot in my head, whenever we are creating from this space, from the logical space, from the space that we think we need to create from, or we're writing something that we think we need to say, or we're writing something that we think needs to happen, actually doing it from this space of logic, that can often be sabotage energy, right? That can be this part of us that's trying to overthink it and overanalyze it. The best content pieces that I've ever created, the best live streams that I've done have been channeled, right? I've literally opened up my crown, opened up the channel, and allowed the information to come through. When we can activate this within us, man, so much, like it opens up so much for us, right? We can literally energetically connect with the energy of our soulmate client. I call them soulmate clients because I believe we have a soul contract to work with high level clients. They have a soul contract to work with us. We have a soul contract to work with them. We both work together. We're both left transformed, right? They're the kind of people that I call in. I don't just want to work with anyone and everyone personally. I've done that for a long time. And they're the clients that when I get to the end of a session with them, I feel fucking drained. And I typically don't look forward to the sessions. The kinds of people that I love to work with, my soulmate clients, I'm excited to turn up to the call and I leave the call feeling energized, more energized than I did going into it, right? Super, super powerful. So like I said about 20 minutes ago, your soulmate client is likely a few steps before you on a very similar journey. So when you can speak to your journey and speak in a way that captivates your clients and captivates your potential clients, it will strike a deep chord of resonance within them, right? Because they are on the journey that you are talking about, okay? So this is why it's really important to understand that your life, right? If you think about it, we're going to start talking about what I call your golden thread. If you think about it, your life is like a tapestry. We have 5 people here. Please say hi so I know who you are. Don't be a wallflower. Okay, I'm not going to bite. Your life is a tapestry, right? I want you to think about this metaphor. And every single thread that is woven together to build this beautiful tapestry is a thread that connects your past with your present and your future. These are the things that connects your journeys, the things you've done, the experiences that you've had, the traumas that you've moved through with the transformational work that you facilitate now, okay? Your life is a tapestry. The threads connect your past, your present, and your future. So what are the important threads? So I'm going to ask you, what are the important threads that connect your story and your journey and your lived experiences with the transformational work that you currently do with your clients. So, how we uncover this, and these are the golden threads, right? Hi, Jessica. Whenever I'm working with my multi-author clients, particularly because their chapters only are 3,000 words, maybe 3,500 max, and they really only have one thread, right? That's not a lot of words, okay? So we don't have much space. We want to say a lot. So when I'm working with my multi-author clients, then I will typically say find one golden thread, right? The one thread that connects the story that you want to share with the transformation that you facilitate with your clients. Okay. But when we're talking about, and so the same can be said for content creation, right? You've probably only got 500 words, maybe 1,000 words max, right? So what is the one thread that you can find that's going to connect the story that you want to share, right, with the transformational work that you now facilitate, whether that's a new program that you're offering or a new service, something that you like, the next step that for your client that you're promoting. Okay. Of course, when we have a solo book, hi, beautiful. When we have a solo book, Virginia's here as well. Hello. When we have a solo book that we are writing, of course, then it's much more words. We have a lot more capacity to weave many threads together, right? I love this analogy of the weaving of the threads, because that's what we're doing, We're pulling from the past, we're, threading it through all of the different filters, all of the different things that we want to say, the journeys that we want to experience, that we want to share, and the message that we're trying to get across. The underlying, what's the moral at the end of the day? It's the moral that we want to get across, and we're connecting that with the transformational work that we currently facilitate. So what I want you to do is I want you to uncover the top 10 threads that come to mind, okay? So how we do that is we cast our mind back over your life. You cast your mind back over your life, and I want you to think about the experiences that you've gone through that have been highly emotive. The things that have really rocked you, right? That have moved you, that have had you just like you're not the same person after that experience. And typically there's going to be a number of them. I want you to try and find 5 to 10, okay? Because when you have these really clearly, when you follow the steps that I'm going to share with you, and you have these threads and these stories very clear in your mind, essentially, if someone asks you to do a talk for them, say someone wants you to be a speaker, right? And you have a topic that you're speaking about, you can pull from the stories that you have in your back catalogue, so to speak, and you'll be able to create like a 1-hour live talk, right? Or write 10,000 words if you want, or 3,000 words, or 100,000 words, by weaving together these stories with the message and the end result, right? So I want you to think about the top 10 things that you've gone through that have had a really emotional, they've moved you to your core, they've opened up your heart from a negative or a positive perspective. It doesn't necessarily it doesn't matter, right? But what we're wanting to find really powerful moments in the past. So initially, when I started doing this at first, I found this really hard, right? Why? Because, hi, Cal. Hope you're well, sweetheart. Why did I find it hard? Well, because I typically, and I have done a lot of work to unwind all of this, but I've been your classic suppressor, right? So I was someone who, everything's all good. I'm Superwoman. I'm on top of it all. I'm not fazed. I'm not rocked by anything. And I wasn't connected to my feelings, right? As a result, I was the kind of person that would push everything down. So this was quite hard for me at first when I was like, okay, let's find 10 really emotive things, like really powerful. I was like, because kind of like up until a certain point in my life, like, kind of been just like living in this vanilla kind of like, everything's all good, nothing's too bad, nothing's too good. So it was quite difficult for me at first to find these until I really kind of cracked through that wiring and was able to start to connect much more powerfully with my heart and my emotions. But there's always been like really powerful stories for me, right? So one of the powerful stories which I've shared in the recent Sacred Rebel introduction was the journey that I went on in South America and the shamanic medicine ceremony that I experienced connecting with this. Well, prior to actually experiencing the medicine, I had this amazing wild encounter with this wild jaguar, right? It was like, even thinking about it, was so fucking powerful. On a boat, the jaguar was coming down out of the Amazon to drink from water from the Amazon, and we stopped on this boat and we stared, and I locked eyes with this animal, and it sparked something within me. It was such a powerful experience, right? Which later came through in the shamanic explorations that I did, and it literally changed the course of my life, right? I came home. I dropped out of my politics degree. Can you believe I was studying international politics at university for 2 years? I can't. I was like, what the fuck am I doing? Why am I studying this ridiculous program, this ridiculous degree? It changed my life, right? I pulled out of it. My parents were like, what are you doing? You're going to go to Melbourne and you're going to study some fucking random energy medicine bodywork thing. Anyway, it was quite a big ordeal at the time because, I wasn't tracking along the normal life like everyone else in my sphere did, right? But that decision changed everything. I wouldn't be here right now doing this work with you and sharing this information with you if that hadn't have happened, okay? Other powerful experiences that have rocked me to my core have been the births of my two sons, right? So I'll often talk about how powerful that experience is and what that experience taught me, okay? So this is the important thing. When we're sharing stories and when we're wanting to do it from a space of strategy, strategically calling in our people, we need to understand the moral, right? Why is this story important to my client? Why am I sharing this story? What did I learn in that experience that I want to impart to my soulmate client right now, right? So for example, with the birth of my first son and the consequential, postnatal depression that I experienced as a result, those experiences taught me how to feel, right? They taught me how to feel my emotions. Prior to that, like I said, I was living in this kind of vanilla world where I was, really good but not really good at the same time, That experience it cracked my heart wide open, and it was fucking painful and beautiful at the same time. So it taught me how to feel. And now, from an energetic perspective, energetically, there's so many people that are out there living and they're just little heads floating around, right? They're just heads bobbing around. They're not connected to their bodies. That's how they would look if from an energetic perspective, right? They're just living in their heads. That's what I was like. But that experience and, the 2 years that I was in that experience, which was really hard and really dark, and it nearly saw me take my life. Those experiences had me learn how to feel, right? So when I'm talking with my soulmate clients and I'm messaging to my soulmate clients, I can share that story and I can tell them your capacity to feel emotion, your capacity to connect with your heart, your capacity to feel is so important from a marketing and a business growth perspective. It's so important when you're writing your book, when you're writing your chapter in the multi-author book. This capacity to feel is essential. If you don't have that, if you're like I was, just floating around like an energetic head, completely discombobulated, completely disconnected from your body, you're going to find writing and birthing your book, birthing this multi-author book, or growing your business from a really empowered feminine space, not just from that kind of overworking, hustling space, you're going to find that really hard. It's really important to learn how to feel, right? As an example. So I've got a number of different stories that I have in my back catalogue, right? That I can draw from when I want to illustrate a point, but I don't just want to do it from a heady space, right? I don't just want to be regurgitating more information. We are in information overload all the time. People are consuming, right? Consuming content, like shoving it in their mouth, right? so to speak. We don't want to be just contributing to more of that noise, right? More of the information overload. So this is really important here. I talk about the difference between informational content and transformational content. You want your content to transform your people. You want it to transform the fuck out of them. You want them to read or watch your content or read your books or listen to your book on Audible. And you want this to move them, to inspire them, to encourage them to see things in a new way, to encourage them to take the thing that you're teaching or the moral of the story that you're highlighting and actually apply it to their life. When they do that, what happens? They will typically experience some sort of result, right? They'll be like, oh my God, I did the thing that Tash suggested. I applied it to my life and I've had this massive breakthrough in this area. So what happens then, right? Once they have one big epiphany or one big result through applying your stuff, they form a bond with you, right? Or whether they hear a story that you've told and they see themselves in that story and they see the importance of, working through the moral and they apply that to their life and they have a big transformational experience, they form a bond with you. They form a connection with you. The more this happens, the more frequently this happens, the more they emotionally connect with you, the more likely they're going to see you as the person to work with, whether it's from a mentoring or a coaching perspective or to hire you for your services, right? Especially women. It's so, so, so important. So you want to find say 10 experiences from your past. Let me know in the comments, guys, how you're finding this info. Connecting via one of my biz pages, no idea why. There you go. I was like, who's that? It's Virginia. Hi. So actually sit down, get down your pen and paper and cast your mind back over your life. Find 10 really powerful experiences. Doesn't have to be all positive, can be negative as well, like negative, like sad experiences. Doesn't have to be all love and light, right? Because life isn't all love and light. And I want you to jot them down, okay? So what I want you to do is I want you to name them, to give them a title, each of these stories. Give them like a movie title, right? Imagine that it's a short story, right? What would the title be? Now, this is a really great experience because what this does, a lot of my authors find titles really hard. Why? Because we need to condense the energy of what we're talking about in the chapter or in the book into like 5 words, right? Really, really 5 words that sum it all up, that captivate from the very start. So this is going to help you get into the experience of actually like diluting right down the message that you're trying to get across. So find your 10 events, give each of them a story, a movie title or a chapter title, right? And then what I want you to do is I want you to just write down the sequence of events, okay? So I flew to South America, I went to Peru, I went to the Amazon, I got in a boat, I drove down the Amazon, I saw the jaguar, I continued in the boat, I went to the village, I drank the ayahuasca, I had these experiences, I went back to Australia, I dropped out of university, I went to Melbourne, right? So like that's quite a big, in terms of time frame, that's quite a big story. I'm covering quite a long period of time. Doesn't mean it has to be a long story, but I want you to get down the sequence of events so that it's clear for you, right? This is going to help you pull these memories back from the past and actually help you to, reimagine them, reinvigorate them, okay? So then once you have the sequence of events, then you can start experimenting with your storytelling, okay? So one of the most powerful ways that we can share story, like straight off the bat, is to imagine that you drop your reader or your listener right into the thick of the moment, okay? So it's like you're literally, if you imagine like you're looking at it from the bird's eye view, say, this experience in your life, and like there will be a point that you can just plonk your reader or plonk your listener in. That's not necessarily, it doesn't even have to be the beginning of the story, right? But somewhere like you're dropping them right in. So from the very beginning, they're there. And you can evocatively start to activate their imagination by sharing your story, describing it using really beautiful, vivid languaging, really like paying close attention to the things in the moment, the things like, time stood still. All that was there, all that was available to me in that moment was the wind in my ears and this magnificent jaguar that I was staring at. Nothing else mattered. Everything else dropped away. And in that moment, I connected so powerfully with that animal. It activated something within me that I had no idea at the time what it was. But now, 12 years later, I can see that it was activating within me my courage to go and create the life that I wanted, right? Or the life of my dreams, as an example. What I'm really wanting to say though is that this takes practice, your ability to speak and to captivate people through words, whether it's writing or speaking, but your ability to captivate people through words, it takes practice. And one of the best ways you can practice is to start, right? To simply start writing or start speaking. So we want to remember when we're practicing this, especially when we're, when we're talking about sharing storytelling and having that lead to more clients, having that lead to people, high-end clients, actually knocking down our door, throwing us their credit card saying, I want to work with you. You're the only person that I want to work with. I've seen through the 1,000 other people that do similar work, and it is you that I want. I don't want them. I want you. What we need to do is we need to remember, obviously, why is this story important to my client? The moral of the story, okay? What am I sharing here? What's the important, captivating, or transformational piece? What am I leaving my reader with to go and do, or to go and apply, or to go and integrate? And then how do I desire that to impact them? So this is going to be your intention. You don't necessarily need to say this in your content piece, and I wouldn't necessarily say it, but you want to have a really clear intention. Why am I sharing this story? A little caveat here. I think it's really important to only share stories that you've worked through the emotion of. Right? So if you're in the thick of something emotionally, probably not the best time to share that story. This is like the difference between, one of my old mentors, she called it elegant vulnerability. Okay. So we are sharing something from a space of posture. We're not getting online and bawling our eyes out and, like, fuck this guy, fuck my partner, he did this. Obviously, I think it goes without saying, but the rule of thumb that I have here is it still emotionally, like, am I still embroiled in the emotional thickness of it? Or do I feel like I have the perspective now? I've seen the moral in the story. I've integrated the trauma or whatever it is. I've integrated it into my system, and I'm ready to share that then. The imagery of an energetic head is amazing. I have a tendency to do this. Yeah. Big time. I've had to work so hard, not hard, but I've really had to focus on that. So let me look at my notes here. So what I want you to do is, coming back to the journaling or writing practice, like, develop a consistent practice with your writing. This is so important. Consistency is key. Consistency with your writing is going to have you develop your skill. It's going to have you fall in love with writing, especially when we're doing like journaling style writing, right? Which I encourage all of my clients and authors to do that, to have a consistent journaling practice. We can really luxuriate in the art of, well, not in the art, but just luxuriate in the bliss of writing. Like, for me, it's like my sacred time. Everyone knows when mummy's doing her journaling, we don't interrupt her. Excuse me. We don't interrupt her. This is important for her sanity, right? Excuse me. We find the stories, the top 10 stories that we want to share. And if you need some more nudges or guidance here, I want to share with you some journaling questions or journaling prompts that you can use, okay? So, number one, and I'm going to put this, I'll edit it in the comments and put this in the comments. What has my life experience been guiding me to know or do or embody? Okay, so what have all of the things that I've gone through in my life, what have they taught me? What have they been guiding me to do? What have they been guiding me to know? What have they been guiding me to embody? Okay, that's a very powerful journaling question or journaling prompt. You're going to get so much creative inspiration simply from asking yourself that question. You're going to start to see the themes. The threads are going to start to reveal themselves to you. I also talk about this from the perspective of, I believe we all have key life themes, things that you're here to learn in this lifetime, things that from maybe a soul contract perspective, you like events and circumstances are created, they happen to you for these reasons, for you to learn these things. So often when we find that cycles repeat themselves, they repeat themselves because we haven't learned and embodied the lesson that's driving the pattern, right? So what are the lessons that you've noticed in your life? What have been the repetitive themes, the repetitive experiences that have come up? Maybe if you've attracted similar experiences over and over, like this is going to give you a lot of awareness about yourself, but it can also be great creative inspiration too. Why have they continued to repeat themselves, these things that have happened to you? What have you had to learn that has actually circumnavigated these patterns and prevented these patterns from showing up again? What have my life's experiences been guiding me to know, do, or embody? Another beautiful journaling prompt, which is one of my mentors, Adriana. What story is mine to share? It's a simple question. If you're sitting down to create content and you're drawing a blank, you're like, I don't know what I got to say. I know I need to create something, but I'm not sure. The simple question, what story is mine to share? What story is mine to share right now? Close your eyes and listen or feel or, allow yourself to receive the story that's yours to share. There's always, like in every single moment, there's powerful things, powerful experiences that we can draw from. A piece that I've been meaning to write about, I haven't done that yet. I will do that. I reminded myself I need to create this as a content piece. The other day, I was walking down the street and I've always had a bit of a thing for, a bit of a thing against the ibis bird. Do you know the ibis bird? They've got the really long nose, right? I've always thought they were really ugly. They kind of reminded me of like flying rats. I've always been like, oh, they live in the sewer. I've always just thought they were really gross birds. I've been like, why do we have ibis birds? They're just everywhere. They're fucking annoying and they're gross, right? So the other day I was walking down the street with my little one who was strapped to me and in the front, in the bouncer. It was just me and him. We were walking down to get a coffee and we walked past this field and suddenly I hear this giggling. Coming from him, right? He's laughing. And suddenly, like, he's only just started like really laughing. He's 5 months old, right? And he started laughing even more. And I was like, what the fuck are you laughing about, dude? I can't see anything like that's worthy of laughter. Why are you laughing? And I turned and I could see he was looking in this direction and he was laughing at the ibis birds. And suddenly I saw them from a different perspective. I suddenly saw how amazing their beaks are, right? I saw like how amazing, like what an evolutionary design that these birds have these long beaks that they can stick all the way down into the ground and find the worm and pull it out. And then I saw their beautiful feathers, right? They had like feathers like ducks that shimmered in the light, right? They were purple and green, my two favorite colors, as you can see. I was like, oh my God, this is my soul bird. And I've been dishing on them for like 15 years. But it was in that moment that I realized I saw something from a different perspective, right? I saw this beautiful animal and I saw how powerful of an animal it is, right? And how magnificent and majestic it is. And it had me realize, oh my God, where else have I been doing this in my life? Where else have I been actually, where else have I created an opinion or a perception about something and just broadcast that onto something, right, in my life? And I realized I've been doing that in lots of areas. Okay, so that as an example is a really powerful moment in time that I need to share and I desire to share it in a storytelling piece that was simply like 30 seconds, maybe longer, because I stood staring at these birds laughing with Harry for quite a long time. I was just like, it was one of those moments like, oh my God, this is so cool. So that's a beautiful moment that I can share. It's not necessarily like a heart opening, like bam, powerful, like my life is forever changed experience. But it is a really beautiful moment in time that I can evocatively write about and have that moral lead to something else. Okay, so what story is mine to share? And then finally, how does my story connect to the transformation I facilitate for my clients? Okay, how does my journey, hi Jenna, hope you're well. How does my journey connect with the transformation that I facilitate for my clients? That question is going to give you amazing, amazing creative inspiration that you can apply to your content, that you can apply when you're in conversation with potential clients, that you can apply to your book or to a chapter in a multi-author book. That's going to be so, so powerful for you for that question. How does my story connect to the transformation I facilitate for my clients? So I really encourage you to actually do these journaling questions, to go through the process of uncovering the top 10 experience, the top 10 things that have happened to you that have transformed you, going through that process of creating the movie title, jotting down the sequence of events so that you're really clear on what happened, and then start practicing, right? Get on Facebook Live, share the story, one of the stories that, from the thing that happened to you 10 years ago or 5 minutes ago, and then experiment with connecting how that thing connects with the work that you do now, the moral that you're wanting to share that's important for your soulmate client. And then from that space, you don't necessarily need to always make a call to action. It doesn't always have to be like, I'm going to share this story so that then I can subtly weave into a call to action, right? You don't always need to do that. I do think it's important, of course, to have calls to action. However, it can even just be a simple, this is the work I facilitate. If you want to talk about creating some magic together, if you want to talk about how this can potentially transform your life, let me know. Reach out to me, right? It doesn't have to be a really detailed call to action. But it's definitely, and you don't always have to have a call to action. You can simply just share a story, right? Share a story. I find time and time again, the content pieces that have story always way outperform the content pieces that don't from an engagement perspective. Why? Because people love stories and they love reading stories, right? So you should really, if you're inspired to do this, I would encourage you to be writing doing storytelling posts at least once a week. So that's pretty much it from the strategy that I wanted to share with you. I also wanted to tell you about some really fucking exciting things that Ashwin Publishing has on the go at the moment. If you've seen Wild Woman Rising and Sacred Rebels start to rear their heads and you're interested in what's coming up, I wanted to share that with you. So first of all, we have a really exciting new multi-author book project. So that is called Unapologetic, Shedding Inauthenticity to Become Uniquely You. So with all of the projects that Ashwin Publishing does, we have a multi-author book, of course, that is formatted for Kindle and formatted for paperback. And we also have a big summit, okay? So the summit is an incredible opportunity. This is going to be a big international summit that this gives my authors an opportunity to be spotlighted, to have the spotlight shine on them. It's not so much about promoting the book as it is about promoting the authors and the speakers. And all of the authors get an opportunity to deliver a 60-minute masterclass that they can make a pitch at the end. So Unapologetic, I'm looking for particularly for people, women who work in the women's empowerment space. If your work helps people to step into greater levels of empowerment, if your work helps women to step into greater levels of empowerment, to step into, more self-love, self-confidence, to really shed those layers of authenticity to become uniquely them. If you have a story that you believe is worthy, they're all worthy, caveat. If you have a story that you want to share and you want to really get into this space of really it's like a storytelling incubator. That's how I see the multi-author book projects, right? They're typically 6 months from start to finish. And so that's 6 months with me in this incredible creative space where we talk all about storytelling, we talk about writing, we talk about activating creative potential. We obviously talk about the strategy behind sharing your story and have that lead to clients. We talk about being using the book to be featured in PR, to be, to get high-level speaking opportunities. Podcast opportunities to be featured in all sorts of different ways, local press, online publications. And of course, we have the summit where we do a lot of preparation around pitching, around actually developing a masterclass that is really powerful, that captivates people. So it's so much more than just a book, not just a book, because that in and of itself is a mean feat, right? There's so much involved. We birth a book, baby. We fucking birth those books, right? And they have the labor pains and everything. So that's the first thing, that if you're interested in sharing your story, then please reach out and let me know. The second thing, which I'm so excited about, is a brand new 6-month coaching program called Oracle Unleashed. And that program is designed to support you to write, write, publish, and launch your solo book. Okay, so we've only got a few spots for that left. This is really, really exciting. We're going to spend 6 months in this incredibly powerful container that's all about writing, the art of writing, right? The art of sharing story, the art of really activating that creativity within us, clearing the channel so that we can write a book with ease and grace. We do a lot of work around really either upgrading or articulating your framework that you work with in your business, so that the book that you write, you can decide if you want to, you don't have to, but you can decide to base it around the framework that you take your clients through, right? So that when people read your book, it becomes a very natural next step for them to want to know more from you, whether that's join your Facebook group, go to your website, reach out and book in a sales call, whatever that next step is. I really believe that your solo books, like having a multi-author book is one thing, and it's a very powerful way to dip your toe into the world of publishing. At the end of the day, your true marketing collateral comes from your book, right? When you can really hold your book in your hand, it's like holding your baby in your hand and going, that was a fucking initiation and a half. That was one of the most powerful experiences that I have ever been through, to write and birth this baby, right? So the reason why I've called it Oracle Unleashed, it was going to be called Birth Your Soul Book, but I decided that sounded really vanilla, and I wanted it to have the title to be just to reflect the power that this program is going to evoke. I decided to call it Oracle Unleashed because this is all about activating your inner oracle, right? The part of you, the part within you that knows exactly what to say, that doesn't question it, that is not confined by logic, right? That is coming from the heart, that's connected to your guides, and that allows that channel to be clear and to flow, okay? So this is a program that will change the course of your business trajectory. It will 100% change the course of your business trajectory. When you have your book, and we're going to run it through all the different strategies to position your book for bestseller status, fucking exciting, right? Really, really exciting. When you have your book and you know how to market your book, you know how to really use and leverage your book to be featured and seen on a much bigger scale, like I'm talking much, much bigger scale, that's life-changing for you and for your business. So I, as a business coach and as an energetic therapist and a publisher, I bring all of these three pieces together in all of my projects. This one in particular, because this is 6 months of coaching with me, weekly coaching with me. The reason why I've decided to bring all of these aspects together. So we're going to have business strategy, we're going to have energetics. The energetic piece is really important. What I've seen happen a lot with my authors, especially the first one, when it was kind of just playing. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just getting in there and exploring what was going to work. What I noticed is that a number of them weren't energetically calibrated for the launch, right? So when we were leading up to the launch, this is going to naturally happen anyway, all their shit started coming up. What we really want to ensure is that, yes, it is going to come up. Your stuff is going to come up. But what we want to ensure is that when it does, you have the energetic integrity and the energetic connection and framework to hold it and to calibrate it and to not do a dive for 2 months, right? To not go into mass sabotage mode and shutdown mode. So the energetic piece is really important. I'm calling in people who are natural disruptors, okay? The people whose works I publish, they disrupt old patterns, old paradigms. They disrupt the old in order to help birth the new, okay? So they typically they may have found that the work that they do might be slightly controversial, or their approach to their work might be controversial. The way they're wired to understand and to think and the points of view that they have are most likely going to be it butts up against the status quo, right? It butts right up against it. It's disruptive. And so that is really important. When we release disruptive material, we need to know how to energetically withstand the waves that are going to come back, right? It's like the other day I was talking in the Sacred Rebel Summit masterclass of mine. I was at my parents' house and there were these amazing humpback whales that were jumping out everywhere. The humpback whales were everywhere. It was mind blowing. And I was preparing for this topic, this talk that I was doing about the mechanics of disruptive messaging, and I got present to how the whale is like a massive disruptor, you know. It has this massive voice that is heard for miles. It breaches out of the water and it smashes back down, right? It makes itself seen, it makes itself heard. It doesn't worry about what other whales or sharks or whatever, you know, are going to think about it. And so the same is true for disruptors, right? When we create a big splash, we have to be prepared for the waves, the shock waves that are going to come back as a result. So a big part of Oracle Unleashed is getting you energetically prepared for that, and also tapping you into the truth of your message, not the vanilla coded message. This is the truth of your soul message, right? What are you really here to say? What has your whole life's experience truly been leading you to this point? For what reason? Why are you here doing the work that you do? Why are you here facilitating this transformation? What's your vision for the future? Like, what are you actually visioning and calling in? What's that higher level picture, that higher level process that you are helping to steward into the new earth? What is the old that you are disrupting in order to create the new? We get very, very clear on that so that you can then take that into your writing, whether that's for your book or whether that's for your content creation. Whatever, you can apply all of what we're going to be talking about in both projects, Unapologetic and Oracle Unleashed. You can apply that to your content creation and your messaging in a very, very powerful way. So I am looking for very specific entrepreneurs for that. I need to say this is a program for people that want to write a non-fiction book that they can use to grow their business. This isn't for you if you want to write a memoir, or if you want to write a fictional book. This is specifically a non-fiction book that's going to be incorporating storytelling, but that's going to be used to leverage your business. So please, if you're interested, if you even just want to find out a little bit more, feel invited, not obligated. I am I'm magnetically calling toward me the people who are ready to say the words, to write the words they know they need to write, that the world needs to hear. Yeah. And they're willing to go through that initiation, rebirthing process to really birth this book, right? Birth this incredibly disruptive and powerful, game-changing, fucking best-selling book. So let me know if you know anyone who would be a good fit for this program as well. Someone who's expressed interest in writing a book, who maybe is looking for someone who can guide them through the process of self-publishing. There is a VIP upgrade to have Ashwin Publishing publish your book. But if you know someone who would be a good fit for that, then please put them in touch with me. I pay a 10% referral fee. So that's a great opportunity for you to earn some money as well. If you want to know more, let me know and we can schedule a call. I think that's pretty much it for now. That's all I have to say. Pretty much bang on 1 hour, which is awesome. Let me know how you go with what I've shared with you today, the training that I've offered you. I'd love to hear how you find it. And yeah, take care, guys. Bye for now.